Hi everyone, and welcome to training session 2 for Crowdstaffing's recruitment platform. In today's session, we'll be covering course 2, how to view jobs, and course 3, how to properly fill out a candidate profile. So now I'd like to take you through a live demo of our platform. That way I can walk you through the job listings, and I'll be using a test account to do so. So the home page that you see here is by default the My Jobs dashboard, which shows all of the jobs that I have personally saved. Now, if you click on this triple bar icon or hamburger icon, you will see a drop-down menu separated into two sections, Crowdstaffing and My Workspace. And they're both in purple text, making them easier to identify. And the difference between the two is that one is going to be more general, which is what everyone is able to see, versus My Workspace, which is what you choose to save to your own dashboard. So let's get started with job listings because that's the main focus of today's session. And here you can see that we have 2,237 jobs at the moment, and you can scroll down to see the various jobs that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a random job. Let's go with a front-end full-stack engineer role with Walmart. Now at the top here, you have the job title, and right next to it, you have the job ID number and the pay rate. Right below that, you have the location details, such as the city, the state, and the zip code of where the position will be located. Next to that, you'll see the number of openings they are hiring for and the number of slots that we are allowed. Here you see that we have a maximum of 2 slots. And next to that, we see that it is a contract position for 2 months. Right below the header, we have the full job description. And unlike the header, where you only see the city, state, and zip code, the actual body of the job description shares the full address of where the role will be out of, and this is most likely where the on-site interview will take place, unless directed otherwise. Then below that is the summary section, which is oftentimes a quick blurb on what the person will be doing. Next, we have a roles and responsibilities section, which will explain what this person will be doing on a day-to-day basis. So this is something you want to pay close attention to, and more importantly, make sure you understand so that you know how to describe the role to the candidate during your initial phone call. Next, you have the minimum qualifications or required skills, which are all of the skills that the manager has listed as a must-have in order to be considered for the role. So a rule of thumb is that if it's listed here, it should also be on the candidate's resume. If it's not stated in their resume, ask them about it during your call and work with them to include it. And that kind of consultative approach will really help to build their trust with you, and it helps to position yourself as the expert. Then you have the preferred qualifications section, where you will see the soft skills or nice to haves for this particular role. This is what I like to call the icing on the cake section, and having all or even one of the skills or traits will immediately make them stand out from the pool of candidates the hiring manager is reviewing. So again, if they have any of the skills listed in this section, it is worth highlighting in the resume as well as the candidate summary. In this case here, you don't see any preferred qualifications, so sometimes you'll see no bullet points and sometimes you'll see 1 or even up to 10 bullet points in this section, so please pay close attention to that. Now this is the internal notes and tips section, and it's not going to be visible to the public nor any of the candidates who receive the job description. This is just for the recruiter partners as well as the internal team members, and this section is used to share useful information and details that may give you a better edge when discussing the opportunity with the candidate. For example, the working hours this person can expect, or if there's any potential for this contract to get extended beyond the initial contract duration, etc. Now this section here is the announcement section, and this gets updated by the account manager. For example, if a conference call with the hiring manager takes place, the important highlights from the call will be shared here. And as you can see, we don't have any comments in this section because this job was just posted this morning and a conference call has not yet taken place. Right below that, we do have the timeline, and again, because this is such a new position, we don't have any activity here. So let's scroll back up here, and take a look at the right-hand side where you'll first see the Crowdstaffing team members such as the account manager Deiraj as well as our onboarding specialist Sai Prima. And here you see the mail as well as phone icon, and you can actually click those to send them a message or give them a call. Right below that, you will see all of the activity clearly listed for you, such as the number of candidates shortlisted, invited, signed, submitted, applied, and disqualified. Next, you have the important job details listed for you. First, you have the targeted start date, which is oftentimes determined by the client and may change depending on when an offer is made and how soon the background check clears. Next, you have the hourly pay rate being offered for this role, and I want to point out that this is the maximum pay rate available, and this does not necessarily mean that you have to submit your candidate at the max. For example, if you have a candidate with 3 years of experience and another candidate with 10 years of experience, you should not be submitting them at the same rate unless there's a very compelling justification. It's going to raise questions with the account manager and potentially the hiring manager. If there's any flexibility with the rate on the candidate's end, try to lock them at what is competitive and fair, and being able to submit your candidate at even a slight discount makes a candidate more attractive to the hiring manager. Next, we have the number of positions that they're looking to fill, and then the targeted years of experience that they'd like for this person to have. And below that, we have additional details. And that brings us to the work authorization section, which tells us what work authorizations are acceptable for this role. And keep in mind that this is typically determined by the client. For this particular role, they're accepting US citizens as well as green card holders. And below that, we have a benefits section if any benefits are being offered for this role. And then a skills section to call out specific skills or technologies that they'd like for this person to have. This next section, the media section, is very important to pay close attention to because it houses all of the important attachments associated with this client. And these attachments are necessary to review prior to submitting your candidate. For example, there's a brief description on Walmart, and then additional details on Walmart are provided in the second attachment, followed by an email format example, a resume format example, as well as the right to represent format example. All right, so we have just gone through the entire job description and have been able to review the important details, which helps to determine whether or not this is something you want to work on. If this is, then you'll want to save this job to your dashboard, and you can do that by clicking the Save icon at the top right-hand corner. So let me go ahead and click that. So as you can see, the heart icon went from gray to red, which means I have successfully saved the job. So I'm going to go back here and click the triple bar icon and check the My Jobs dashboard. And now you can see the job that we just saved appearing at the top of the list. So let's go ahead and open that up. And you'll see the full job description once again, however, it's a slightly different view, and now you'll see additional details that were not visible before. If we scroll down, again, you'll see the comments section and then the timeline here, and our system actually captures all of the activity and timestamps it for you. Let's scroll back up and click on the Pipeline tab, which breaks down all of the activity to keep track of your candidate's progress throughout the recruitment lifecycle. So you can see they're shortlisted, invited, signed, submitted, applied, the different interview phases, and then hopefully an offer. If a candidate is disqualified or rejected for any reason, that action is reflected here at the right-hand side of the pipeline. And this pipeline is customized by the account manager, and typically the only variation you may see is in the interview process, whereas one client may only require a single phone screen, while another client may require a phone screen followed by an on-site interview and then another phone screen before an offer is made. And if there are any events taking place, such as interviews, they'll be on this calendar here. And so far we don't have any activity, so the calendar is blank. Now let's begin Course 3, how to properly fill out the candidate profile. So let me ask you this. If you were to take a look at this, would you say it's a good profile? Does it give you all of the information that you need? I'd like to pause here and give you some time to review this. Alright, I hope that you all concluded that this resume is not good. And the reason being is that there's a lot of missing information and there's no way to determine where this person has worked or what their title was. And this poses a problem for the account manager because they don't have all of the details necessary in order to determine whether or not the candidate is a fit. Wouldn't you rather receive a resume that looks like this from your candidate? This resume looks very rich and full of all of the information you're looking for. Down here in the employment section, or professional experience section, you can see that their roles and responsibilities are clearly stated and the dates are aligned. And the overall format is very clean and consistent. So to put it into perspective, if I were to take the same candidate and show you a different version of their resume, similar to what we determined was a bad candidate, you'll again notice a lot of missing information such as dates, locations, and even bullet points to describe their experience. All of these pieces that the account manager needs in order to figure out if this candidate is a fit. So here we ask you to wear the hat of the account manager as well as the hiring manager to see if the resume is rich enough to pass through and submit, or if this resume still needs a lot of work. If this candidate happens to be someone you're very interested in working with, then work with them to complete their profile and complete their resume. Now let's talk about how to add a candidate so you can see just how easy it is to add a candidate into the platform. So once you have identified a candidate that you'd like to add, you simply go into the My Candidates tab and click the Add Candidate button at the upper left-hand corner where this green arrow is pointing. Once you click this button, you'll see the screen where you will need to fill out all of the candidate's basic information and upload their resume. Once you upload the resume and click the next button, the system will let you know that the candidate has been added, and a third-party company will parse the resume into our platform. So now let's go back into the platform, and I'm going to click on the triple bar icon, and let's take a look at the candidate pool. So now you can see the candidates that live within our platform, and this is viewable to everyone. And we currently have 8,592 candidates in our candidate pool. On the right-hand side, you can see the recruiter partner that is engaged with a specific candidate, and this countdown is how long the recruiter partner has exclusivity with that candidate. That means that no other recruiter partner will be able to engage with that candidate for the time being. And we'll go into exclusivity and what that looks like in our next course, where we'll cover the right to represent. So I'm going to go to the My Candidates dashboard. And as you can see, I have 5 candidates saved so far. And I'm just going to pick Laura's resume to open up. And as you can see, it's a very rich profile, full of great buzzwords, and it looks like she'd be a good fit for a recruiting coordinator type of role. I'm going to scroll back up and click on Jobs. And here I'd be able to see all of the jobs that Laura was presented to, and then any events associated with her. Since she has not been presented to any jobs, the event calendar shows up as empty. Let's go back to the profile. Up at the top, below her name, you'll be able to see where Laura's located. And if you go over to the middle, you'll be able to send Laura a message. And that'll come directly from you with all of your contact information within your signature. You'll also have the option to call Laura. So the phone number is displayed, then you can just go ahead and close out of that. Then you have different options to engage with Laura over on the right-hand side. Now, if I didn't want Laura to show up on my candidates dashboard anymore, you simply click the Unsave button. Now let's talk about how to add a candidate. You'll simply click the Add Candidate button on the upper left-hand corner, and you'll see this screen where you'll fill out all of the candidate's basic information, and then you'll upload their resume. And once I fill out all of the basic information, as well as upload the resume, I'm ready to go ahead and hit the next button. And then I'll get the notification that the candidate was successfully added. Now I can see that the resume has parsed into the platform. So let's click on Superman's name and open up the profile. And this is where you'll complete the profile. So you'll fill out the basic information, contact information, add any social media accounts such as LinkedIn or Facebook, write a quick summary, and list out all of the experience that is relevant to the position. Make sure it's filled out accurately. There's the education section, a certification section, skills, and keep in mind you can always X out of the skills that are irrelevant to the role. And add any foreign languages that this individual may be able to speak, for example, Spanish or Portuguese. And then add their. Next, we have the work authorization section where you want to mention whether the candidate is a U.S. citizen, a green card holder, EAD, etc. And it's important to mention this upfront because the last thing you want after working so hard to get an offer on the table is to have to pull your candidate for not having an acceptable work authorization. For example, an H-1B candidate when only U.S. citizens and green card holders are being considered. And at the very bottom, we have the other interest section where you want to list things like a candidate's hobbies or what they like to do for fun outside of work. Before we wrap up session 2, I'd like to present an exercise to you. After you exit out of this video, I'd like for you to log into the Crowdstaffing platform and explore the job listings under the Crowdstaffing tab and find 5 jobs that are of interest to you. Take a look at the job descriptions and locations and rates and select 5 by using the save or heart icon, and then go to your My Jobs dashboard and confirm that all 5 jobs are visible to you. This exercise will help to ensure that you know how to navigate your way through the job listings and save jobs to your own dashboard, because this is going to be critical to your success. And that wraps up session 2, and we thank you for taking the time to watch this webinar. See you soon in session 3.